We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, and we will be, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again.
We meet here at a moment of testing for Europe and the United States, and for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. This alternative vision argues that ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs, that order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
When we are successful, and we will be.
Hey, how's everyone doing out there with all the chaos from election and COVID and riots and everything else? This is going to be my second video on the Great Reset, and there is no particular order. Although I provided a lot of context, everything going on, and I did provide some facts and some sources, I felt it, for things taken out of context, or for someone who might not already be thinking of things in this way, where you're looking at things as a whole, as not individual situations, that everything is connected. I want this one to be much more obviously proven, fact-based, to where before you didn't have to do as much looking up, you don't even have to go through the sources. I will be providing an insane amount of sources on this one, much more than last time, but I'll be showing you even more of what I'm talking about. So everyone can follow along, or even people who aren't already looking into these things, that you could just start with this video and you will understand everything in complete context. So the first thing I want to start off with is, of course, pretty much the first piece of the puzzle. Joe Biden is being either steered or led by the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum controls the United Nations. What else is being controlled by the World Economic Forum and the United Nations is the World Health Organization. So all of these are just branches of the same body, like I like to say sometimes, like an octopus. So we're seeing all these tentacles as individuals when they're not. It's all connected to the same body. Well, who attends these meetings at the World Economic Forum? Well, two of the most influential people on the entire planet, and two of the most infamous names that anybody on the internet could name, is Bill Gates and George Soros. Now, of course, I've already mentioned in my Why Does the Media Love Bill Gates video, and most people are already aware that he is everywhere. He is looked to as the expert with literally no medical degree or training or schooling at all. So I've already covered Bill Gates for the most part. Then there is George Soros, where it is funny to me, because doing research to this, there is all of these things debunking the conspiracies about George Soros. Don't believe what you hear on George Soros. What is funny to me, and I had mentioned this in the Bill Gates video, that all of these independent news stations or YouTube channels that are debunking these conspiracies are all funded, and it even says on their About page, by Al Jazeera. Who funds Al Jazeera? Bill Gates does. So there's two people that are very influential, and they are both at the World Economic Forum. So it is kind of logical to say that they know each other, work together, or have some similar ideals if they're all going to these same meetings. Why is George Soros so important? Well, there's already plenty of information out there on how he has used his money and power to he has destroyed economies in different countries by either buying up or completely selling off currencies, so that way once it drops, he makes money on the rebuild. But what I am going to be getting at in this is George Soros, and this is not hidden, this is not a weird theory, that George Soros is funding Black Lives Matter. Now, it doesn't mean he's giving all of them money, but just, I believe it was earlier this year or last year, he gave $220 million. Now, that is not building a hospital, that is not building a school. How far do you think $220 million goes when you're just supposed to be protesting? I understand you probably need your food or your water, maybe some shelter, but $220 million, you're funding a revolution. And as we have seen, and I've done multiple videos on it, there is no solution coming from it. It is coming from their own leaders' mouths that if essentially the government and the structure system doesn't bend to their will, they will burn it to the ground and build a new one. Now, why is that? They're also trained Marxists, which means they want to completely change capitalism and our entire just social structure, our government, and our democracy. And they say through communism that it's equal for everybody. Now, what that means is the government will be taking 60% at least of your money. You'll get to keep the rest. They decide where all the money goes. They decide what you do, what you say, what you eat, where you go, everything. Kind of a lot like a lockdown. Now, what has this lockdown and fear-mongering from the media done? What it has only accomplished, it is all of us to divide, to separate, and to fear each other. I even did a video on people attacking other people for not wearing a mask, when a lot of the time they weren't wearing a mask themselves. People are getting crazy, people are getting paranoid, they're attacking each other, they're turning each other, and they are listening to only Big Brother for all of their information and what they should be doing next. I will give you more freedom, just tell me what to do, master. It is getting completely insane. That you have to be fearing each other, where you stay 6 feet at all times. I even mentioned in the last Great Reset video that in California that you can only have gatherings, and here's all the proof, you can only have gatherings of up to 3 households and more, and it must happen outside. So we are all essentially being taught to go along with the program, and if you care about your freedom, if you care about your privacy, then you're selfish, because you are putting everyone else at risk, and you are potentially killing other people because you care about your safety, or you care about getting together with your friends, you care about your family. I mean, Thanksgiving was already canceled this year. All of this is supposed to be in the name of keeping people safe, keeping some people from getting the virus and dying, and we want everybody safe, right? Well, there has been multiple studies that have come out that for some reason never reached the mainstream news, that it is potentially more dangerous to enact a lockdown because more people are going to be depressed, more people are going to be committing suicide. Everyone's immune system is only going to be going down from less interaction with everybody, from less interaction with the outside world. The more we isolate, our immune systems continuously go down.
The immune system is built by exposure to antigens, viruses, bacteria. When you're a little child crawling on the ground, putting stuff in your mouth, viruses and bacteria come in, you form an antigen antibody complex, you form IgG, IgM. This is how your immune system is built. You don't take a small child, put them in bubble wrap in a room and say, go have a healthy immune system. This is immunology, microbiology 101. When you take human beings and you say, go into your house, clean all your counters, Lysol them down, you're going to kill 99% of viruses and bacteria, wear a mask, don't go outside. What does that do to our immune system? Our immune system is used to touching. We share bacteria, staphylococcal, streptococcal bacteria, viruses. We develop an immune response daily to this stuff. When you take that away from me, my immune system drops. As I shelter in place, my immune system drops. You keep me there for months, it drops more. And now I'm at home, hand washing vigorously, washing the counters, worried about things that are indeed what I need to survive. If you have a normal functioning immune system, you need interaction. When a child is in a womb, you're in this protected environment. When you come out, you have almost no immune system. You develop that through touching your mouth, touching your eyes, virus, bacteria, immune response, IgG, IgM. This is how you build a strong immune system.
You think people are worrying too much?
Of course they are, but that's from media telling them to. I am telling them sheltering in place decreases your immune system. And then as we all come out of shelter in place with a lower immune system and start trading viruses and bacteria, what do you think is going to happen? Disease is going to spike. And then you've got disease spike, amongst a hospital system with furloughed doctors and nurses. This is not the combination we want to set up for a healthy society.
It's weird that most of these things were common knowledge and common sense just a year ago, and nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. A lot of people are now just fearing this invisible bad guy that is just destroying the world. It's destroying our economy. It's killing everybody. Something else I wanted to mention is it's called the 6 degrees of separation, which means that we are all potentially connected to everybody else in the world by 6 people. That you know someone that knows someone that knows someone that knows someone that knows someone, and through just a connection of 6 people, we would know and be able to interact with everyone. Now, it doesn't mean within a week, but just over time, people are only that far away. Like, you know someone who knows someone whose cousins, whose uncle met the queen, or something like that. It's on the screen, you could read it. I don't need to give crazy examples. Let's continue with getting to the point. If this is killing so many people, and so many people are dying, and there's just bodies in the streets, how come we never see it? I personally do not know anybody who has died from this. There are plenty of people who have gotten sick, and all of the ones I know about have recovered within a week. Now, it might be a bad virus, sure, but I already mentioned in the last video that an estimated from the WHO, 650,000 people die in America alone every year from just a seasonal virus. Why have we not been doing lockdowns every single October to February if it happens every single year? It is because this plan has been studied. It has been just retraced over and over. Last year, in October 19th of 2019, there was something funded by the Bill Gates Foundation and the World Economic Forum. There was something called Event 201, where they were discussing the potential of, they even called it a coronavirus, where it would spread, how fast it would spread, how to maintain control of the public. Just last year. Well, you might think, well, maybe they knew about it. Maybe they knew it was coming. It was on the news. They're more connected than we are. Well, the first reported case in China did not come out until December 31st. And in this event, where all of the world leaders, and not the people we see on the television, besides Gates or possibly Soros, these are the people behind the scenes who control the Bidens or the Bushes or whoever. They talked about how not only to maintain control, how to continuously be feeding propaganda to the public, to keep all of them calm and docile, how to get them to continuously go along with whatever restrictions, guidelines, and lack of freedom comes along with this. This has been planned. What's weirder than that is 10 years ago, in 2010, there was something called the Rockefeller Lockstep Documents, or guidelines, or program, whatever. The Rockefeller Lockstep, where they were even more strenuously going through every single step on how to control misinformation, on where it was going to spread, how many people would die, how to enact lockdowns, how to maintain control, how to maintain compliance, how to continuously feed everyone fear propaganda to get everyone scared of each other. The less we unite and the less we trust each other, and the more we're looking at other people as just bags of germs that are just waiting to infect us from an invisible virus. They have no symptoms, but they are waiting to kill you. It's all fear and propaganda. We do not need to fear each other. We are a social species. Look at how fast social media has taken off just in the past 10 to 15 years. People love people. Now, if you hear it from the World Economic Forum or the global leaders, and just the short video I showed you in the last Great Reset video, that we are polluting, we are destructive, we are just a horrible species that needs to get in line. That's not how I ever see it. I see it as, yes, we all have disagreements. We all possibly have arguments at times, because we are all different. Just the fact on how kind of confused or how the misinformation is proving to be effective is Joe Biden, of course, going on and on about how Trump ruined so much, about him and the lockdown and this and that, when we're hearing of all this virus and how much damage Trump has done. And then as soon as Biden is said to be elected, there is mass parties and celebrations for their new savior out in the streets of thousands upon thousands of people. The weirdest thing is there are stories saying that lockdowns can do more harm than good, but they're continuously also saying that not only is lockdowns required and that we need to social distance, but that these protests are actually helping coronavirus. That if you go out and protest, you are not going to contract the virus. But if you accidentally hold someone's hands, or you don't go wear a mask when you get gas, I've always worked in restaurants. It was restaurants or construction. I've always been kind of the general, like, blue collar worker, and we have always just been used to it. That every year people get sick, and oh no, Johnny got sick, he's the first one, eventually it's gonna get all of us. That's what happens. Or a customer comes in, they get someone sick and it's spread. That's what happens. Our immune systems grow. We do not hide from each other. We do not fear a virus or sickness. The world is covered in germs. We cannot run and hide from it. We get sick, we get better, we grow, we learn, we evolve. Yes, of course, some people, it might be worse for others, and some people might not make it, but that's what happens. 665,000 people die every year, and that is from the World Health Organization alone. Seasonally. A lot of people might not be old enough to realize, and it's not like it was that long ago in the great scheme of things, but this is very similar, and this was also still their plan then. After 9/11, when all of these draconian security tactics started, and it was always said, well, this is for now. This is until we kind of just get things figured out, work out the bugs in the system, get the kinks out, and we're just going to kind of get a little more strict for now. And then most kids who are 10 or 15, even 20 years old, they don't even remember what it was like before. That we didn't live in fear. We didn't have to strip down, and we didn't have to be so worried that we love each other, but as soon as we get near a plane, suddenly we're looking for an enemy. Of course bad things happen, and I'm not trying to make light of what did happen on 9/11. What I'm saying is if we will continually give up freedoms because of fear in the hope of security and safety, what will the world look like? And what are they trying to make the world look like? According to, I believe it's the Washington Post, but it's everywhere now, and this story I believe was from June or July, over 100,000 small businesses have already closed. And that is in a sense what I was trying to get at in the last Great Reset video. And if this is the first one you're seeing, please check that out. And this, once all things are laid out, it's obvious, but most people are just, I don't know, you're too busy. Most people, they don't need to do the research, or they don't want to put the pieces together, and you're just living your life. It's understood. When they're putting this much effort into propaganda, it's understood how people get taken by it. So if a minimum of 100,000 small businesses have already closed their doors, that is going to continue the gap from the rich and the poor, the upper class to the lower class, and as people love to say, there is not going to be a middle class anymore. Everyone is going to be working for someone else. Everyone who was their own boss but barely getting by is no more. We're all going to have to look towards the big companies that can survive because they run the planet. What's funny is during all of these lockdowns, no Amazon warehouses or Amazon fulfillment centers had closed. Why is that? It's because the big companies are just going to get bigger. For some reason, they're not looked at under a microscope. So if we understand they have been preparing for this, well, you might think, well, they've been preparing for this because it was inevitable. Maybe it was inevitable, and maybe it's being blown out of proportion. But even a few years ago, which another thing that didn't make it to the mainstream and is not talked about today, is the World Health Organization was already caught leaking a virus because they had ties with the same pharmaceutical company that had patented the vaccine a year prior. What another strange coincidence that this company patents a vaccine for, I believe it was a certain kind of swine flu, and then a year later somebody makes a mistake or something and it was released in Australia. and there was no lawsuits, there was no restrictions on them. They just continue to go about their business.
Spin it again.
See you next time.